I'm not an advocate for anything free. It's not sustainable. Anything free is not sustainable. However, there is a way where meter, for example, is not supposed to be paid for. Because what is meter in the first place? Meter is not even for the end user. The meter is for the service provider to be able to earn money. Meter is how they earn money.
Yeah.
So in other words, meter is serving the purpose of the service provider, not the consumer.
Let's break it down. Meter does not belong to the tenant.
The tenant, yeah.
Yeah.
Meter does not belong to the landlord.
Exactly. So who
does the meter belong to?
It belongs to the service provider. I'm going there. Okay. So me as a consumer, I just want electricity and pay for electricity. So if the service provider have now decided that, okay, the only way for me to calculate how much electricity you consume and for me to charge you accordingly is through meter, I am not supposed to pay for it. You are supposed to pay for it. But like I said, we've been running a government of the elites where government policies is lopsided in a way that it only favors the elites and not the people of this country. That is why we are paying for meter as if meter is what we need. What we need is electricity.
This is Soup Business Landscape. Now, this goes out concerning the minister's order mandating free prepaid electricity meters. We talked about this last week. Power distribution companies, they have expressed reservation over the directive by the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelebu, that prepaid electricity meters must be provided free to all categories of customers nationwide. Now, industry operators said the announcement sounded more political than practical. They are arguing it ignored existing commercial arrangements within the power sector. Now, they were speaking anonymously. Due to sensitivity of the issue, why they don't want to show their faces, we don't know. Now, the operator said that the minister failed to consult key stakeholders. Who are they? We don't know. Including meter asset providers and installers. Who are they? The ones collecting money. Before the issue of the order came, they want that enforcing free meter distribution without a clear funding framework could disrupt supply chains, stall ongoing installations, and worsen the metering gap across discos. Now, on Thursday, the federal government banned electricity distribution companies and installers from collecting payments for meters. Warning offenders would be prosecuted. Adelebu issued the warning during an inspection of imported smart meters at APM terminals at Papa Lagos, saying that they were procured from both government and World Bank assisted funding. I had to drop this particular pen. Dear Amin, have we gotten to a particular place where, because of continuous corruption and people doing and paying for services that they were not supposed to pay in the first place, discos have now seen it as a right that their jobs should not be their job?
Yes. In order not to sound like I'm speaking from both sides of my mouth, I'm not an advocate for anything free. It's not sustainable. Anything free is not sustainable. However, there is a way where meter, for example, is not supposed to be paid for. Because what is meter in the first place? Meter is not even for the end user. The meter is for the service provider to be able to earn money. Meter is how they earn money.
Yeah.
So in other words, meter is serving the purpose of the service provider, not the consumer.
Let's break it down. Meter does not belong to the tenant.
The tenant, yeah.
Yeah.
Meter does not belong to the landlord.
Exactly. So
who does the meter belong to?
It belongs to the service provider. I'm going there. Okay. So me as a consumer, I just want electricity and pay for electricity. So if the service provider have now decided that, okay, the only way for me to calculate how much electricity you consume and for me to charge you accordingly is through meter, I am not supposed to pay for it. You are supposed to pay for it. But like I said, we've been running a government of the elites where government policies is lopsided in a way that it only favors the elites and not the people of this country. That is why we are paying for meter as if meter is what we need. What we need is electricity. So if the service provider has a way to know how much we consume and charge us accordingly, and it's fair. So be it. We don't care about the meter. What we care about is electricity. And that is why, let's compare it to our phone. For example, the SIM card is now free because what we want, even though the SIM card is an identity of the consumer because it's their own unique telephone number, which is like an identity, we no longer pay for it. What we pay for is what we consume. So the telecommunication industry too, at the beginning, they were charging us exorbitant for the line. But now, because of the competition in that market, it's now free. Because we are not supposed to be paying for what you are supposed to use to charge us for you to make money. And installation came up. Installation too, you owe us this. If we are paying, you owe us service delivery, you owe us maintenance. So if I'm your customer, you are providing me electricity and I am paying. If there's any disruption in the line connection, in the wire, in the installation, you should be able to come and do that for free because that's how you continue to earn money. But because Nigeria is at the mercy of these people, there is no competition. That is why they are the jugular of the Nigerian people, and they want us to pay for every single thing in that whole service line. From we pay for meter, we pay for wire, we pay for even consuming the electricity, which is not supposed to be. So the question now is, what cost is the discourse bearing in all of this?
What cost are the discourse bearing in all of these distribution companies? This question will really need an answer from you. Toby, I'm coming to you.
Yeah, sure.
Over time, we have seen an anomaly normalized. Communities pay for transformer. Estates pay for transformer. Estates pay for poles. Estates pay for wires. Then the individual houses now pay for meters. But in all of this that have been bought, paid for, it doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to the estate. It belongs to the distribution company at the end of the day. As a people, at what point in time are we going to hit the reset button and say this thing needs to stop?
So, it's quite sad that I mean, Mr. Something said, "Is the light the power that we need? We don't need to know how much it costs to fix up a meter. It's a system that we've gotten so used to. It's going to take the government some days, 5 days, 7 days, to come fix the transformer, to come fix a wire that was destroyed by either rain or the storm and all of that, or the wind. And because of how it affects us, they don't take it seriously. So it's an issue of the system. The framework of how we live our lives in Nigeria is questionable. When you look at on the level of productivity, there should be a response to everything that happens around us. And that's why you see Nigerians will just come up, wake up in the morning and say, you know what, they are not going to come. Even if they come, we have to apply, we have to call. If you don't know someone in there, it should not be like that. There should be a system. There's an issue with your light. The wire that connects you to the transformer is bad. It's supposed to be a duty of service to come fix it up. And that's why you have a lot of electricians that are not even registered. It's the same thing with real estate as regards to agency and all of that. We just have a system that anyone does anyhow. It's an anyhowness system. Anybody wakes up in the morning and fixes.
And they are greatly understaffed. They are greatly understaffed. They make so much money, and their staff are not enough to deliver the kind of service they are getting paid for.
So the funny thing about the issue of even being greatly understaffed is that what's the project management system that the discos and what is it like? Because in an environment, for example, in my area, you will see their office there, and all they do is patrol. If the transformer has an issue, they're not even quick enough to come and check it, and they're actually right there because they feel like you need to call them, you need to persuade them. People need to gather some money.
Because when the transformer has a problem, they probably have maybe 10, 15 technicians that has the skill to be able to fix the transformer. And they are stretched out. So sometimes when you're calling them and they are not coming, it's because they don't have somebody that has the technical know-how. If you look carefully at their offices within your neighborhood, you find out that the technical guys, they are 10, 15. Then you ask yourself, how many problems do you think they have in that neighborhood every day? Are they enough to be able to solve that problem? And you now look at other countries of the world. The owners of these companies, they don't care, and electricity is basic necessity of life. It should be beyond profit. Yes, make profit, but the number one thing, because at every point in time, government subsidize these private companies. So your priority is the service delivery, because electricity is as important as the air that we breathe every second. So, but they care so much about the profit. The owners of these companies, they care about profit
Than the service.
and then the service. And that is why, despite the dilapidated power supply that we have in this country, they are declaring profit every year. Are they profiting off the kind of power supply that we have in this country?
Okay. Just to clarify on that. So, like I said, project management. This is where, partnership with, local-based electricians come in. I once used an accommodation abroad, and you see there's a very big building. There's an issue with the lights. There's a system where you log this issue on, and it is not even the electrical, the local council that would come. They just have a system where they can delegate this work to a local electrician, and they come in, they fix it, and they go. Registered local electrician. And it's just about being creative. We don't have creative thinkers. We don't have people that look at the situation or look at the environment and say, you know what, we don't have the manpower, rightly, like I mean mentioned. But we can create a system that local electricians come around, register with us. Before you take up a pole, before you go into fixing whatever, you already have we as people, as the end users, we have a system where we can say, oh, this has happened, and they delegate it to someone in that environment. You can even know them because they live in your environment, but they will not just go there as back end, unregistered electricians. And we have them a lot. I want to talk about job creation. These are ways you create jobs. These are ways. This is how you get people involved, because ownership is very important. If an electrician knows that in my community, this is our light, we take care of it. I'm not that actually I watch over this, and it takes off. We spend a lot of money. It's going to affect people's job, productivity. You see how people would handle these things. So we are here talking about meter. Is it going to be free and all of that? What is the meter asset provider legal framework? What did they sit down to actually say? Okay, these are the legal backends. This is the MOU that binds, or either you're selling or you're not selling.
Okay. Now let's look at World Bank gave us 500 million. The federal government brought counterpart funding. This is way over 4 years, and a lot of them were released 2 years ago. The federal government did the same thing last year. A lot of the meters were procured both locally and internationally. Now these meters have come into the country. These are supposed to be what the discos are supposed to do. But the federal government has gone ahead and said, okay, good after, don't worry, we can cover this expense on your behalf. Now these meters are going to them, coming to the country free. Why are they insisting on charging for these meters that came to them for free?
Yeah, because they are used to the money. And the problem in Nigeria is that I dare say that in the public sector, we don't pay livable wages. And people live on bribery and some of these things. That is why a lot of people take the public sector jobs. So when you now remove some of these things out where they get money, it's like you are reducing their salary. And that is the kind of...
They'll fight you.
They will fight you because it's like you are removing their salary, because they did not take the job because of the pay that is attached to it. Like in Nigeria, people even tell you, oh, this is the pay, but don't worry. There is chua that you won't even touch your salary, you make money daily. Yeah. And what that means is the system is so corrupt that you'll be bribed daily. And so don't worry about the salary that is attached to it. So, and when we now want to clean up the system and we are trying to remove this corruption from the system, people will fight back, because this is the reason they did not take the job for their salary, they take the job for their corruption. So we have built so many systems that is based off of corruption. So when we want to take corruption out of the system will fight back. So we need to start asking ourselves, 70,000 minimum wage, is it livable? That is where the answers to all of these things is. So when we start paying livable wage, then we now have the right to demand full integrity and honesty in public service. But by the time we pay wages that are not livable, that you can imagine the kind of life 70,000 can give anybody in Nigeria of today. The person does not even need to be married. A single person, what kind of life can he live with 70,000 naira? So anybody will be foolish to think anybody takes 70,000 naira job,
Driving a car.
living in a good neighborhood without
Most public servants that you see actually have one Toyota Camry and everything on how much?
on 70,000,
I think
120.
the
Public service across Nigeria, averagely, a graduate earn 150,000 naira.
Yeah.
So you now say, okay, somebody went to university to spend 4 years, got all this knowledge to live on 150,000, and then you want him to manage transactions of hundreds of millions when his take home is 150,000. It defies logic. It does not make sense.
Okay, while it defies logic and doesn't make sense, this particular meters came in free. So please, we beseech you, dear Discos and your collaborators, leave them at free. If this is the major thing the minister is going to achieve in this tenure, we will take it for him.
There's even a need for them to move. You see, sometimes I wonder at why we love paparazzi in this country. Okay. As a minister, what you need to move past having a discussion on the social media platform, and this is what I've said. You have to fall in line. There should be a legal framework. Okay, even before now, what are the legal disputes resolutions you put in place for issues regarding Disco saying, "Oh, we want to sell"? It's because at the end of the day, it's just word of mouth.
They just like the spotlight. Like I said, when we talked about this last week, I said, so now how do you intend to enforce? How can the citizens report? If you are not providing that, then it's just business as usual.
2, 3, 4 weeks from now, it dies down again. Everybody goes back to the same statement I made earlier. You need your meter. So the government is not even making they're not putting their feet on the ground to say this is what it is, and we have the legal framework backing this up. And then the discourse will say, okay, let's see whether you enter into our warehouse and just take the meter,
or go to Ministry of Power.
So there has to be a structure. If the government are saying this is what it is, put out a structure. Everyone falls in line. It's just what it is.